Hi, my name is Jamie and I live in Saudi Arabia. I have a makeup collection that just keeps getting larger, and actually today it did. Today what I wanted to do super fast is I wanted to talk about a palette that I purchased in the month of November, and it is the last day of November, so I need to really talk about it really fast. This palette is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It is the Rose Metals palette. And I got this palette at the beginning of November during the Beauty November sale in Sephora. So we don't have like a Sephora sale here, we have Beauty November. It's the same, but it's not. You know what I mean? So the palette was on sale, 30% off, and it was 166 Rial. With delivery, it ended up being 206 Rial, so about $50. So it was a good deal. I went ahead and got it, and here's a look inside the palette. I have used it a couple times this month, but I just haven't had kind of the chance or desire to do anything video-wise about it. So here's where we're at. We're gonna do it today, okay? So if you are interested and you wanna see this palette and what it do, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into it. I am actually just gonna do a voiceover today to make it as fast and easy for everyone as possible. I have the NARS Radiant Foundation and Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I put a little bit of the Chanel Le Beige Cream Bronzer on. So that's what's kind of going on right now. I also have She Glam brow pen in my eyebrows right now. So that's what's on my face. I'm gonna get into the palette and then we'll continue from there, and by the end I'll have a finished look. All right, so I first dip into the shade Sunrose, and this shade has kind of some shimmer in it, and that's kind of one of the things I don't like about this palette in particular, is that it only has three maybe true mattes in it, and the rest have kind of a bit of a shimmer to them. And while that makes them more blendable, I'm kind of a purist and I like my mattes matte and my shimmers shimmers. But that being said, this kind of coppery shade goes down really nice and functions really well as a transition shade. Next, I'll be going into the darkest shade in the palette, and by dark, it's not really that dark. It's kind of a dark rusty brown, and it is a true matte. It's very nice to work with. It's very pretty, and I do kind of a winged out shape with it. I like this shade. It tends to play well with others, and it kind of sets the tone of the palette. Like, all of the tones within this palette are very complementary to one another, so they can all really go together. I'm going to blend out that edge with the shade Ashes. This is kind of a muted brown, and it has a teeny tiny bit of shimmer in it to me. Like I said, that's kind of my criticism of this palette, is that I like my mattes matte and my shimmers shimmers, kind of not that thing in between. Although it doesn't really tend to show up on the eye, you can't see it. I'm just being finicky that way, I suppose. I'm doing a little cut crease action. I'm not making this the sharpest cut crease just because I sort of think I want the look a bit softer, but I still want something for the shimmer shades to grab onto a little bit. Okay, and here's where we're at. Like I said, I don't want a super sharp defined edge and a lot of contrast. I just kind of wanted the whole thing a bit softer. And now I'll be placing the darkest shimmer shade, Nocturne, into kind of the outer third of my eye, and I'll be blending it into Noble just to kind of darken up the outside. And this is, I think, actually technically darker than Noble. All of the shimmers, I want to say, not all of them, but most of them have kind of a black base to them in this palette. So this next shimmer is Royal, and I actually like this shade quite a bit more than I thought I would, although it too seems to have a black base to it, and I'm just kind of mixing that into Nocturne as well, and you can see that she likes it. I had a little trouble trying to decide where to go next, and I ended up using Heavenly, which is a shimmer shade. It's very light, it's the lightest in the palette, and it almost looks a little bit green in the pan, but when you put it on your eye, it kind of doesn't look like quite anything. It just takes on and morphs into almost a light, just very light, almost white shade. And then it can kind of interact well with the other shimmers around it. You'll see me kind of patting out the edge between Heavenly and Royal, and that's just to mix it together, like right there, just so the whole shimmer on my eye kind of looks cohesive and not so blocky. And it played really well. It looked nice at the end. It blended all together nicely. Next, you'll see me just kind of pat Rose Fire on the seam between Heavenly and Royal. And I'll even use my finger a little bit to blend that in. It was kind of taking on a bit of a coppery tone when I was mixing Heavenly and Royal together, which was a nice thing, but I just wanted to kind of, again, have it remain cohesive by using Rose Fire to do that as well. So here I'm just putting on some Beauty Bay gel liner in the shade Cowboy, and I'm using Durline to kind of thin it out and be able to use that really cute thin brush. This is the thing that I just started doing yesterday, and it is awesome. I love Durline. What was I doing before? Here's where we are. This is the eye look so far. I'm gonna break off here and I'm gonna finish all my makeup, and then when we come back, we'll discuss the palette and I'll give you my final thoughts. 1 second. All right, so here we have the finished look. I just kind of went in with a little bit of blush, a little bit of my ABH Shade and Define, and I took so long because I was putting in individual little lashes. I don't know how I feel about that. They're okay. I don't know. We'll see. I also really messed up and was trying to put on lower lashes, and I was putting them the wrong way. So they did not look very good. So I had to forego those. Anyway, I was interested in this palette primarily because I saw on TikTok this amazing makeup artist do a look that I might include.
Wondering why the days go by with captured thoughts upon my mind.
And I want to do that for a festival, so I got this palette. It performs great. I'm not saying it doesn't. It's just a little, again, kind of like my other recent Anastasia Beverly Hills palette purchase. It's a bit pedestrian. Like, I look pretty. I like the texture, particularly of this shadow. And, you know, I'm sure I will continue to use it, especially for work. So this is the shade Heavenly. And this is what I have kind of in my inner corner. Element. Like, these are very rich shades, you know, that are easy to work with in terms of shimmers, but I guess, I don't know. That is Haze. And I'll give you Rose Fire. These are all like very nice to work with. This was a fun color that I actually didn't expect to like so much. This is Royal. I have this on my eye as well. I'll just include Nocturne. I like this shade too. Nova. So these are all the shimmers swatched, and that's why you ought to buy this palette, I suppose, if you're interested in these shimmers. They are very complimentary. They're very soft. They're very easy to work with. I think they would complement a lot of different skin tones. So is the palette worth it? Yeah. Is it my favorite palette ever? Nah. Thank you for watching, and please feel free, again, as always, to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.